Welcome back. Welcome back. It's Ed Martin here in a Pro America Report. Great to be back. We're going to wrap things up. And don't forget, go to proamericareport.com, proamericareport.com. You can get the show, any piece of the show there, interviews you just heard. You want to track down any of these segments, so go there, proamericareport.com. And the show is also at theanswersandiego.com as a podcast, full podcast. Now, as of today, I am going to Florida, for the convention as of today. There was some coverage yesterday. The sheriff of the county in which Jacksonville, Florida sits said that they're not sure how they're going to do security, but that it was reported all over the place that they're saying they can't have the convention there. That's nonsense. It's going to happen. And so we'll be there. I'll be there, putting down there and reporting live from there. And it'll be fun. I've been to the conventions before, so it'll be great. Now, let's cover a couple things. I just got a poll sent to me by somebody who would know well, a poll out of the White House, or out of the, I guess out of the campaign. And it shows Trump up in most of the states, you would think. And then the states that are battleground states, it depends on which one. But here's the key. This is what I want to tell you. I won't go into that poll because I don't know if I'm allowed to know about it in a public sense. But Richard Grenell, Richard Grenell, who was the ambassador to Germany, then came home for a minute and served as the National Intelligence Agency director and was declassifying all sorts of stuff. Pretty cool guy, pretty interesting guy. He tweeted something the other day, which is really great. There was a Fox News poll, and the Fox News poll said that Joe Biden is winning, and winning based on the economy. And so here's what Richard Grenell said. Here's his tweet. He said 1,104 people nationwide were called on the phone. And then he wrote, quote, "Hi, I know you don't know me at all, but can you tell me anyway who you're voting for? You can trust me during this crazy cancel culture, I promise," end quote. And then he wrote, "This poll couldn't be more irrelevant." Doesn't that feel right? Can you imagine if you're a normal person? I mean, I'm not normal because I'm on the radio. Andrea Kay, we're not normal. We do this we don't do it for a living. We do it because it's part of who we are and we want to communicate. But most people at this point in our great cancel culture, the great cancel culture of 2020, if you don't have to tell someone you're for Trump, you don't. If there's a way you can kind of just get through the conversation, it just don't bother, because you don't know if you're across the table or across the counter or sitting next to someone who's so Trump deluded that they're going to be really mad and hostile. So it's just not worth it. And more, I believe the polls, and I tell the story over and over again. In 2016, on the day of the election, Missouri, with a state that I know the best, my home state, was all the polling was saying over and over that Donald Trump would win by 4. And all the different polls, they'd come together in Missouri, polls of Missouri. Likely voters by 4. Donald Trump won by 19 points. So it was off by exactly 15 and a half points off. It was like 19.5. So it was off by more than 15 points. And that's because when you polled in 2016, and it's worse now. It's worse now to be someone who says you're for Trump. Trust me, I have to tell people. I wrote a book. I wrote a New York Times bestseller on the conservative case for Trump. That's what it's called. And I've written 3 or 4 or 5 other books, depending on how you count them, on Trump. And I talk about him all the time. And so and even I will be slow. We have some next door neighbors, one house over from us that we hadn't met. We moved in a few years ago, and we finally got together with them. And until we got comfortable enough that I could feel okay telling them, I wasn't telling them sort of how much I did. That's where we are. So that's a great point by Richard Grenell, and an important point, I think, that makes a lot of sense to me. All right, one more on this is that, did you know, after all these months and years, finally, the private equity company in China that gave like $1.5 billion to Hunter Biden, it's called BHR Partners. They changed their business records in April, and they removed Hunter Biden from the board of directors. Remember, he's going to go off. And they still have admitted that he owns 10% of the company. So he's not exactly divesting in China. And again, you got to wonder if and when the news or anybody will ever cover this and ever let you know the truth of what's going on. because they certainly don't seem to want to. So anyway, there you have it. Hunter Biden is, at least off the website, still in the ownership of the $1 billion or whatever he got from a Chinese venture capital. I mean, just amazing story. All right. Thank you, as always. Thank you to Noah, our technical director, for doing such a great job keeping us on track. And don't forget, go to proamericareport.com. You can reach me on Twitter at Eagle Ed Martin. At Eagle Ed Martin. You can go on Facebook. It's Ed Martin Live. And you can, of course, always go to the phyllisschlafly.com and track down all our stuff there. Well, thank you for listening. We will be back tomorrow night, same time. Hope you have a great day. Ed Martin here on the Pro America Report. Talk to you tomorrow.